And this is the least prepared I've been before getting started, because I have a Kerbal stranded in orbit around a natural satellite. I have higher priorities.
Hey everyone, welcome to demguyspodcast. That's 3 E's in dem. That is because this is the E3 episode.
Yes, it is! E3 edition!
And so today we're going to be talking about our favorite games that we saw at E3, so get ready for an hour of Mario Tennis and Disney Infinity 3.0.
Oh, I forgot about Mario Tennis.
Snow's like, wait, let's redo the entire agenda.
Can we please add that to the doc? I may be the only person that's nostalgic about that game. That looks so cool.
Nostalgic? There was an old Mario Tennis?
Yeah.
Okay, I knew there was...
You didn't know about this.
I knew there was Wii Sports, and so I'm like, why did they need Mario Tennis if they have Wii Sports?
No, Wii Sports was pretty much Mario Tennis 2. I don't know what the...
Without Mario.
Let me tell you what the original one was called. Mario Tennis. I think it was called Mario Tennis 64.
We are already off on a tangent.
It was just
amazing.
Mario Tennis. Mario and friends serve up another ace. What's the tagline?
Okay, well,
we could probably do an entire episode just on, like, corny video game taglines in
I'm sure we
advertising.
You know
Maybe
what?
we'll do that next time.
That's what we should do. Remember when we had that the theme song guessing game? We should do a tagline guessing game.
Oh, that's good.
That'd be pretty
I like
good.
that. Yeah. But
All right,
anyway,
yeah, we should
before
probably
we
get through
even more
get through
distracted.
everything. Yeah.
It's the usual crew in the podcast today, which means it's Drew,
Hello.
myself, which is Slash, and Snowshoe.
Hi.
And we are demguyspodcast at gmail.com.
No, we're not. That's not what
Yes,
you're
we
supposed
are.
to do.
We are. We are the email address. We personified it.
No, that's not how this works.
Yes, you dropped the ball, man. You're supposed to just, when you hear that email address, you just spell.
I'm not
Don't
a robot.
If you
Yeah.
would like to complain about our lack of professionalism, you can email us at demguyspodcast@gmail.com.
Delta Epsilon Mu Gamma Epsilon Y Sigma Pi Omicron Delta C Alpha Sigma Tau at gmail.com.
Oh, that was so bad.
C in Greek.
I thought gamma was the C.
No, Gamma's the G.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you spell out the Twitter handle for everybody while I look this up?
It's at Delta Epsilon Mu Gamma Epsilon Y Sigma Pi Omicron Delta C Alpha Sigma Tau.
I love this. Oh, the random C in there.
Yeah.
There's the Y too. I snuck that one in there, but I know there's not a Y in Greek. Unless you count Epsilon. I don't know.
Alright, I got you. Well, okay, the reason I thought gamma was C was because gamma is the third letter of the Greek alphabet.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is
So
true.
that's why I was thinking along those lines. But no, there wouldn't be a C because C is stupid. Kappa is as close as you would get.
It's true, but it's not a C. Which is weird because Greece is a 6-letter word with a C in it.
Yeah, but they don't say Greece.
It's called Ilinica.
Ooh.
Or maybe that's Greek. I don't know.
Oh man, we spent half an hour talking about what things we were going to talk about and making sure we cut everything out that was like, we don't have a lot to say about it. Let's make sure we keep the podcast a reasonable time. And then
No
then
time
the
for
usual,
any of that. Let's
Yeah.
speak Greek letters.
Yes. So Snow,
Wow.
what happened to you? You have a story to tell us that you didn't get to tell us on the
He was
last
like
podcast.
accusing me of something.
What happened to you? Why do you look like that now?
It's a long story. So, okay, this was a story I was going to try to tell last time on the podcast, but we ran out of time. So we're doing it at the beginning of the podcast, so we can't possibly run out of time. So it's a long-winded story, and let me just start it out. So, no, I'm just kidding. I'm starting to try to work with home automation, right? So I watched this YouTube video of a Raspberry Pis, and I was like, oh man, I really want to get a Raspberry Pi. I always knew I'd play with Arduinos and everything, but I wanted to learn the Linux portion of it. So I bought a Raspberry Pi, bought some modules for it and everything, and I've been working to incorporate it with my home alarm system to try to figure out what I wanted to do is when I leave my house, I wanted to text me if somebody opens my door or like breaks through a window or something. And it's
Right.
not necessarily that I think somebody's going to break through my window. It'd just be a cool project.
Right.
But So we have an existing alarm system that's semi set up. We have tons of doors around our house for whatever reason. It's like every wall is a door pretty much. And so I have all these existing little alarm contacts. So I've been working with those and like trying to figure out how to program those to tell the alarm system when the door is open and then have the alarm system tell my phone. And so I got it kind of all figured out, but I broke one of the contacts on the doors. I broke it actually off the door. And so what I had to do was have it sitting on a desk to where the contact was touching the other contact point so it wouldn't start freaking out.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that one's going to be disabled. I'll deal with that later. And so I go to bed, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, I just hear this whip, 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 back door, back door, back door. It's like, what? Back door? And so I get out of bed, and I'm like, really? I haven't even implemented this thing yet, and somebody's breaking in already? And turns out my cat thought it was funny to play with the alarm contacts. And so, without having to break into my house, she set off my alarm.
That's awesome. Of course it's the cat's fault. It's always the cat's fault.
I shouldn't have put it... I put it right where she gets water every night, too. I should not have put it there.
Those things are perfect swatting size.
They are. It's just like a little Lego.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's hysterical.
But
I like that a lot. Back when I used to work at a Radio Shack, and whenever we had big sales, we'd put balloons out in the store, and my manager said, make sure when you close up tonight that you move those balloons back into the back before you lock up. Right? Well, naturally, I forgot, and so she got summoned to the store at like 2 o'clock in the morning because the draft in the store caused the balloon to blow and set off a motion sensor.
Oh.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, that whole time you were telling the story, I was listening, but you...
Ish.
I was distracted because right at the very beginning he said something about watching a YouTube video and then he wanted to get a Raspberry Pi. I thought he meant the food. Because I've never heard of
really
I don't know what that is.
It's pretty cool. It's like
like about 20 seconds I thought you were talking about food, and I'm like, no, he's clearly not talking about food.
Well, the funny thing is, so it's a little microcomputer pretty much that can actually run real operating systems for $25.
Oh wow.
So,
it's pretty neat.
Crazy cool. It could even run Windows, but mostly run Linux Debian on it. But another story following up to that, I accidentally plugged in the wrong wire of my alarm system into my Raspberry Pi, and I fried it. So now we have fried pie.
Nice. Well, that can be tasty too.
It's tasty, except I don't want to buy a new one now. my project is over until I get the motivation to pay more money.
It's like, I've had this thing long enough to fry it. Yeah. I don't know necessarily that I should be trusted with this piece of electronic equipment again.
I said 120 volts straight through that little thing. Rest in peace, pie.
Oh, man. That's pretty funny.
Well, now what?
Now it's your next topic.
Oh, yeah. So, Steam Summer Sale pops up in the middle of E3, all this going on. And I think I mentioned it in the last podcast that we had suspicion it was going to happen. But it started on the 11th and just ended yesterday for us. So it ended on the 21st. And man, I got smoked. Did you guys buy anything? I know you're not much one, not for sales /
No, you know what, I don't think it wasn't on the summer sale, I don't think, because it's an early access thing, but I did, pay $15 for Lego Worlds to discover that my computer's too old to run it.
Oh, no.
So, because first I thought it was, because I'm trying to run it through Wine on Linux so that it's like emulating the Windows thing, so I'm like, oh, maybe there's some layers in there. So I actually rebooted it onto my Windows side, and dusted the cobwebs off all the icons and tried to install and run it there, and it ran even worse, actually. So,
well, that's disappointing.
So yeah, it's my computer's pretty old. I mean, this computer's probably like 10 years old or close to it, something like that. So, it's in desperate need of an upgrade.
You better take care of it though, because if it dies and you leave those Kerbals out in space, you're gonna have that on your conscience for the rest of your life. That would be
quite tragic. Yes. I would never be able to sleep well again.
What about you, Drew? Did you buy anything?
I actually, my laptop, I haven't been even working on getting it fixed because I'm saving up to go to Scotland, and so I'll worry about that after I get back and I know I have enough money and all that. So Yeah, I knew it was happening, but I didn't even think about it because I didn't have access to a computer with Steam. So, like, whatever. I did have a few games on my wish list that probably went on sale.
Man, I feel like everything went on sale. Just to tell you guys, so I paid about probably around $50 this Steam sale, and I bought 20 games.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Oh, I felt so good. Like, everybody was saying that it was one of the worst Steam sales so far. But because I didn't have all the games, I think it's because everybody already had the games that were going on sale because they had been on sale before.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have a lot of these games, and I haven't played them, so I got, for the second time I found out, I got Bastion. So I have 2 copies of Bastion, neither one of which are giftable.
Doesn't Steam tell you if you already have the game in your library?
I had it on Humble Bundle.
Oh, okay.
Which actually, you know what? It may be giftable because it's DRM free, I think. Maybe. I don't know. I got Transistor because it was by the same people as Bastion, and I wanted to play both of them. Everybody said it's amazing, so I'll give a review of that at some point. But all the other ones, most of the other ones, are just like AAA fantastic series. So I got all 3 BioShocks, each one of them for like $2. BioShock 1, 2, and Infinite. I got Borderlands 1 and 2, and some kind of random DLC that I don't even know about, but that looks really cool. Dishonored. Dishonored was like $3. Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. I skipped Fallout 1 and 2 because I didn't like the look of those. I got 8 Sherlock Holmes games. Whenever I was growing up, I loved the Nancy Drew games. And I started getting into the Sherlock Holmes games whenever I got a little bit older. And now that they're continuing to make them and they're actually getting better, I was like, man, I can't pass this up. So they had like 80% off the entire series, I think. So I got most of those. And then the last 2 are The Stanley Parable and The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, which are both kind of adventure-y type games. You guys know I'm a sucker for adventure games.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was rough.
Cool.
I'm glad it's over.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad that I didn't have access to a computer with Steam during that because I spent so much money on Steam games last year, and partially because of my laptop breaking down and partially because of just other things. I probably didn't even play most of the games that I bought last year, which I remember I had said that was my goal, to just like play everything that I had before I bought new games.
See, I want to do that, but then things keep coming out for really cheap, and I'm like,
I know.
Well, I have to buy them now because they're never going to be this price again.
Until the next Steam sale.
Yeah.
It's the best $50 I've ever spent on nothing. I'm gonna never play it.
I want to total up my cart, I guess, of this Steam sale and know how many hours of average playtime I got for $50. Because, I mean, it's got to be in the thousands.
I would have to think so, especially the Sherlock Holmes games. I imagine that there's quite a bit of time involved there.
Yeah, a lot of them are kind of point and clicky games, but
yeah.
So they may even take longer than they're supposed to, knowing me. But
yeah,
I'm excited. I still have a backlog of all this other stuff. Like, I'm trying to beat Watch Dogs just so I can move on to something else and not feel like I wasted all that money on Watch Dogs. It's actually getting better, though. Anyway, we'll move on. E3. We have a ton of E3 stuff to go through.
Yeah.
We do have a ton of E3 stuff.
So, I just want to say real quick before we get into the E3 stuff, I was up, because I didn't watch this stuff live because I was working when a lot of this stuff went on, but I watched probably like 5 of the conferences, which are each at least an hour long. And so the one night I was up till 3 a.m. because I just couldn't sleep and I was watching E3 stuff. And I was like, I have to remember what I want to talk about. So a whole bunch of this stuff I put into the doc, and then Slash and Snow added a few things. And as far as I know, this wasn't intentional, but the doc goes Drew slash Drew slash Drew Snow Drew Snow Drew. And
sounds like a bad cheat code.
Well, I was going to say, which incidentally is also the incantation used to summon a lesser demon. So
down, left, right, Hadouken!
Okay. So yeah, we're just going to jump right into E3 then. So, first off, at the Microsoft conference, they announced that the Xbox One is finally going to have backwards compatibility, meaning you can play your Xbox 360 games on it. It's not an instant update. They're actually they're updating the games as they go. So they're starting later this year with I think they said at least 100 games, and they're going to continue doing it, but supposedly you'll be able to eventually be able to play all 360 games.
Isn't this what they did with Xbox and Xbox 360? I kind of remember there being a list of Xbox titles that they started backwards compatibility.
Yeah, I didn't have my own 360 until well after that, and I didn't have an original Xbox to have those games carry over. I do know that like my brother bought the original Halo and Halo 2 to play on our 360s, and those worked, and I had a couple of original Xbox games to play on 360, and we did also encounter some that didn't work, like Burnout Revenge came out for both original and 360, and the original Xbox version did not work on the 360, which...
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's weird that this was Microsoft's, as a company, their big announcement was like, hey, we included this feature that we probably should have done originally. We didn't think we could do it. I was like, okay, whatever.
PS4 had also originally, when they were launching, had said, like, this is something we're going to do. I thought they had said that anyway.
I thought they already had. I thought they came out with backwards compatibility from the beginning.
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure. Well, okay. This stems from a quote-unquote argument I had with a guy at work this week. So I'm pretty neutral as far as consoles, but he's huge into PlayStation. And he was telling me that PlayStation 4 has had backwards compatibility since its incarceration. And then I quit the argument.
Is that a direct quote?
I was like, okay, I think I just won. I'm not going to say anything else.
Now, okay, I'm a little confused. Just real quick on this backwards compatibility by game thing. I mean, I could see how this would work for games that you get off of Xbox Live, that it's all the content's downloaded to the Xbox hard drive, and you play it off of there, because you could just update the bits on there. But what about stuff that you play off a disc?
What they said, basically they already do this with the Xbox One games anyway. With Xbox One, if you buy a disc for it, you put the disc in, you still have to download something. Yeah, it's not just on the disc, and the game itself is basically, sorry. Stupid motorcycle going by.
I was going to say, Drew, stop riding your motorcycle.
I couldn't hear it, so that was really random for me.
The Xbox One games aren't really on the disc. They're just, the disc is sort of the purchase ID, like saying, yes, I own it, so I'm able to play it. Gotcha. And so you download something, and then you still have to have the disc in there to run it.
Right.
But most of the game is just downloaded onto your hard drive. That's what they said they're going to do with the 360 games. You put in a 360 game, and it will download that game onto your hard drive. And this is actually really big news for me, because I'm already, with a lot of the new games that are being announced this year, and like so many of them are only on Xbox One and PS4, they're not on the original, the previous consoles. I was already looking at an Xbox One, because I already have a couple of Xbox One games that I play on my brother's console and everything. This has only made that likelihood that I'll be getting an Xbox One soon a lot higher, because they also announced, which this is completely new, cross-platform, that you can be on an Xbox 360 playing your Xbox 360 game with someone who's playing on an Xbox One, which that wasn't, like, even crazy. Like in Destiny and stuff, you can't do that, even though the only difference is, like, the graphics are a little better. So that's pretty big, that you can play cross-platform. They also said, with some of the new games that were announced, they said that you'll be able to play, Windows 10 players will be able to play with people on an Xbox One, which that's crazy, that someone on a computer will be able to play with someone on an Xbox.
That's pretty cool. Honestly, I mean, this has been a long time coming, in my opinion. I'm glad to see that they're actually starting to do more of this cross-platform compatibility stuff. I mean, it just makes sense. It's all Microsoft stuff anyway. But from a software development angle, there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to do that.
Right, but from a business angle,
it's just,
you're forcing people to buy the new consoles.
Yeah. So anyway, I looked this up. We're having some technical difficulties on the back end here. Yeah. But I looked this up. The PlayStation came out in North America in November of 2013, but the backwards compatibility to PlayStation 3 games wasn't available until PlayStation Now became available, which wasn't officially released until this past January 2015. So
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, not so much of a thing as the guy said. It has not been around since its incarceration.
Well, good. Then I win the argument twice.
You
Because
do.
he doesn't know how to use words, and it wasn't even an argument. Like, he was just telling me how PlayStation is better than everything, and I was like, okay, I don't think it is. I think they're all pretty similar, but he's like, no.
Yeah.
Whatever, man.
Inaccurate.
Go play my Star Fox.
So yeah, I'm excited about this though, and especially my 360. I'm pretty sure is on its way out. It's the disk drive has so much trouble opening. Sometimes I have to press the button like 3 times, and it'll make all sorts of like noises, like the gears are grinding or something. And I just it's
Okay, that's ridiculous. If that's going to be the fail point of your console, is the fact that you can't open the physical drawer to put the disc in. The hard drive is fine and everything, but you just can't get the disc in.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it occasionally will also just like I think it's mostly happened when I've been playing like Skyrim or Fallout 3. But those are also games that I just like play for a long period of time right in a row. But there will be times when it'll just like suddenly like freeze, and I just have to completely turn off the console and turn it back on.
I think it's pretty well known that the 360 was the worst in terms of hardware failures, with the whole Red Ring of Death and everything.
Yeah, although that was like the older generation, though. I have a slightly
It's a
newer
Microsoft
one.
product. There's nothing more that
And
really
there he
needs to be
goes.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and move on then.
Well, see, speaking of Microsoft, this is a transition here. I think we're talking about how their big thing was backwards compatibility. So they were like, I can't remember what the sequence of events to their announcement was, but they were like, okay, we're backwards compatible, and everyone was like, yeah, wow, and I was like, okay, whatever. I don't even have an Xbox One, so I'll just play it on my 360 if I want to play it. And then they spend like the next 30 minutes talking about Fallout 4, which Bethesda just introduced the day before. I was like, why are we learning about this in the Microsoft conference? Do you think that was weird, Drew?
I didn't know exactly what day E3 started, and I was watching my stuff on the Funhouse YouTube channel, and so I stayed up, like I said, I stayed up till like 3 a.m. watching stuff. It was Monday night, and they had the Microsoft conference there, and so I watched the whole Microsoft conference before I even knew the Bethesda conference had happened.
Uh-huh.
So I found out, and I went back and watched it, but I saw it after, so I wasn't even in that mindset.
Yeah, so the Bethesda conference was Sunday night, and then the Microsoft conference was like Monday afternoon. So
Yeah.
Fallout had already been introduced. They already introduced all of the gameplay mechanics, which, by the way, looks really cool. I don't know, I'm usually a sucker for this kind of stuff, but it's completely open world like everybody wants nowadays. And they introduced this new like base crafting element.
Yes.
It's the whole game is completely customizable now. It's crazy how much they introduced at E3. So good.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm excited about this because, well, first of all, it's completely optional. You don't have to do this, and that's
Right.
one thing that I'm happy about, because I hate games that like throw crafting in your face, and it's like, hey, crafting is popular. You must do it to get everything.
Last of Us.
And so you had already seen it with Skyrim had a DLC that was like you could build a house, like, and there were certain designated spots, and you could like gather materials, and then just like select what rooms you wanted to add onto it and stuff. So it's slightly customizable, but this is completely you can just like you can make everything. Like they showed in their presentation that there was like someone made a giant pixel art Pip-Boy out of lights, and so you just like, and that's the thing, like you can do like a whole, like you can run electric lines and like set up like
Auto turrets and stuff.
Yeah, auto turrets and all sorts of really cool defenses, and besides just building a physical base, there's actually like little cool features that you can put into it.
It really was like a Minecraft within the game. You know, you're building your whole base, and you can hook up all this stuff to it, and you can even do this creative, build these different lights with different colors and everything. But on top of that, they added this whole new customizable weapons system, where every single weapon is completely modular, and you can change out, 6 different main functions of the weapons, and it completely changes how the weapon works and everything. So you can pick up these loot weapons, and they can either be sucky or awesome, but each one is going to be different. I don't know. That looks really cool to me.
Yeah, they made it so they showed you can basically take a pistol, and if you can add a stock and a barrel and a scope and everything, and basically you can turn a pistol into a sniper rifle if you really want to. Like they did some really cool stuff with that.
I mean, just those two alone, how customizable the game is now, it's like they added so many hours of playtime just through those two things, and probably enjoyable playtime that you don't have to do, like you were saying. Yeah.
Character customization also, though, is very cool. So as first, I want to talk a little bit about what they said for the story. They didn't share how this happens, but from the trailer, I was under the impression that you possibly played as the baby that it shows in the trailer, and it's like you went into the vault as a baby and now you're grown up kind of thing. They said they didn't explain how, but they basically said that your character is alive before the bombs go off. He goes into the vault, and like 100 years later or whatever, when this game takes place, it's the same person coming back out of the vault. So you customize your character before the bombs and everything go off. The way they did character customization, I thought was really cool. It's basically like you getting ready in the morning, or it's like a husband and wife, and they're like in the bathroom and they're like brushing their teeth and stuff. But like while they're standing in front of the mirror, like you can just like grab parts of their face and cut. Like there's not sliders and everything. You just like mouse over a section of their face, and you can change like shading, shape, all sorts of stuff.
I do that in the bathroom every morning too. It's completely natural.
I was gonna say that's not how it works for you.
Like grab my nose, make it bigger.
But so you can play, like they made it so you can play as male or female, so that you can switch back and forth between them. And you actually, because there is also that baby that exists in the game, the child will, like, however you customize the two of them, the child will actually look like have a mixture of their features. Like it customized that as well. So I loved all of that stuff.
And I thought, on top of that, they included 2 peripherals, a Pip-Boy, like a physical Pip-Boy that you can buy for your arm, and then I guess you put your iPhone in it or whatever, and you download the Pip-Boy app.
There is an app that you can just use on your phone, but there's also there's a collector's edition of the game that you can already pre-order. That I don't know how much it is. We should probably look that up.
Like
but
$150.
Yeah, it comes with a working Pip-Boy that you can wear on your arm, which I think is cool, but it's also like, I would never wear that because it's this huge device and it'd just be really awkward.
In the conference, he said something along the lines of, I understand that physical peripherals are a piece of crap, but this is the best piece of crap you'll ever buy. It was pretty great. And then, on top of that, they released a new mobile app, a new mobile game called Fallout Shelter, that's currently only available for Apple, so I don't know.
But it's free.
If it's good or not.
Yeah, I have an Android, and I looked it up just to see if it was in the Google Play Store, and just like I thought they had said in the conference, but I couldn't be sure. It is for iPhones only right now, anyway.
Yeah, people are pretty angry about it, but I don't really care to play it anyway.
Yeah, they'd kind of said it was just like an idea to pass the time, back when the iPhone first came out, they were playing just like some stupid games on there, and they were like, you know what, we could actually make a good iPhone game to pass the time. So pass
the time until the release date.
Yes, November 10th, 2015.
I was right, kind of.
Well, you said it would come out this year. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, especially with how much, like, they didn't hype up the game until 2 weeks or whatever before E3, and then all of a sudden they just have all this stuff built into it. We haven't seen a AAA title that has looked this complete prior to launch in a while.
Yeah,
We haven't seen a AAA title look this complete post-launch.
This is
in
true.
quite a while.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah. Very, very cool.
I can't find a price anywhere for it. Like, I'm looking at it on the Bethesda website. I do see an article at the top of Google that says it's selling out all over the place, so I don't know.
Unsurprising. Well, we'll let you take a look at take a look for that. See if you can locate that while we move on to our next E3.
There was
topic.
actually one last thing that we didn't mention about Fallout 4, and that is something interesting that's also relates to some of the Xbox One updates and stuff. Xbox One, you were going to be able to download Fallout 4 mods to it. So mods that are created for the computer version of Fallout 4 can be played on your Xbox One console, which is kind of crazy considering how much there's usually like anti-modding console stuff.
Like what I told Slash before we started the podcast is that Bethesda, because they damaged the modding community so much with this whole stupid PC modding Skyrim fiasco that happened, I think they put a lot of effort into saying how much they really like mods into E3. So I think that's kind of where that all came from.
Yeah, interesting. It's certainly new territory. I
think they get to control what mods go to the Xbox though, because you have to download them from somewhere. You know, like it's got to be through Xbox Live, and Microsoft and Bethesda completely control what goes out through Xbox Live.
Right. But still, that's kind of a cool, step towards trying to support a community, and it can only mean better things, I think, for gaming in general, for the official publishers to back mods in that way. So
true. $120, by the way, for the Pip-Boy edition.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say I'd finally found it on Best Buy. Because everywhere else it just says sold out. It doesn't have a price.
Okay. Very cool.
Okay.
Well, also at the Microsoft E3 stuff, they had a demo of the HoloLens, which I guess is basically like it's a peripheral glasses type thing, and they demoed it with Minecraft, where they had just a blank table basically sitting in the middle of the stage, but the guy who's wearing the lens can call up a 3D model of from their Minecraft world and interact with it and like scroll through it and move it up and down and walk around it and view it from different angles and stuff. One of those augmented reality.
The thing that was really cool to me was it wasn't just another like 3D render of a world. Like he could actually see the players as they were moving around and like the mobs and stuff. That was the crazy thing to me.
Yeah, there was one part where they had one of the players was running around placing TNT and calling lightning down to blow it up. And he was viewing this godlike from on high, in this augmented reality setup. So, it's pretty neat. I mean, I don't know if Minecraft is necessarily the best application for hardware like that, but I thought it was a very cool demo.
Until they can actually sell physical blocks that you can place on your table and then have that be placed in your world, I'm not going to buy it.
That'd be pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I'd totally do that. But, I mean, other than that, it just kind of looked like a viewer, but the fact that it was that he had a table and then all of a sudden this Minecraft world starts building on this table, that was amazing. That first shot of everything falling into place was so cool.
Yeah, that was pretty nuts. And there was some discussion on the Minecraft Network YouTube channel of, what if they could start using that functionality for like spectator mode during a live UHC or something? That would be a pretty crazy thing to be able to do. Have the map in front of you and fly around it and get whatever view you want of the battles that are going on. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So next up on the list, Drew.
Oh, yeah. So a funny thing happened at the EA conference. So, they had shown during.
I feel like that's required.
It's obligatory. Well, I think it's understood as well.
Well, I had told a friend, I was like, this was the only interesting thing that happened at the EA conference. But then I remembered some of the other games that we're going to talk about later on. So it's not true. But there was something very interesting that, so Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 was announced during the Microsoft conference, And then during the EA conference, they played the music from that trailer, and this like zombie mascot ran out onto stage, and like we were waiting for something to happen, and then someone like came out and like turned him around and like pointed him, and he went backstage again. And it was like it looked like that was supposed to happen and it was supposed to be funny, but at the same time, like, it seemed really weird and it seemed like it was some kind of a mistake. So I don't know what was up with that, but it was just like, it was really weird and random.
The fact that they had somebody ready and then they were like, wait a minute, never mind. Just pushed him
Yeah,
back.
that's all you saw. Like, you know, you would think if it were a mistake, a legit mistake, then you would see that
the guy later.
Yeah.
But, you know, yeah. So that's very bizarre.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the cool things that they talked about during the EA conference, though, was Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which, as most of you guys probably know, Mirror's Edge is in my top 3 favorite games. That game is
He says it the exact same way every time. He never goes out on a further limb, but he's like, top 3. I don't know what order those 3 are in, but top 3.
No, it's Battlefront, the original Battlefront, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and then Mirror's Edge.
Okay. But you always announce it as your top 3, not just like your third favorite best.
Because I love them all so much.
Perhaps Mirror's Edge Catalyst will edge out the original for...
Yikes.
Well, yeah, we'll have to see. So as always, like, because it's like, I don't know, we're in a time where like so many like sequels and stuff like that don't live up to the original. I mean, I shouldn't even say we're in a time, because that happens all the time. Like for years and years, that's been going on with movies and stuff.
Right.
But anyway, so it does look very cool graphically. It's definitely improved. I'm looking forward to see like how the gameplay feels. I'm actually very excited. They took out the ability to use like guns that are dropped by guards. It's purely focused on
melee now.
Martial arts combat.
Thank goodness, because that part sucked in that game.
Yeah. I
hated that. It completely broke the feel of running and doing things quickly whenever all of a sudden you have to grab a gun and then hide behind something. I'm like, wait, isn't the whole point of this game to run fast and jump off things, not hide behind a block until I can shoot this guy?
There was an achievement for the game, the original game, to beat it without ever firing a gun. And I was probably like, there's like 9 or 10 levels in the game, and I was probably like 7 levels in. And I disarmed a guy just because that's one of the most efficient ways to do a takedown. And then I accidentally hit the right trigger and fired. And I'm like, well, since I did that, I might as well. And then I just played the rest of the game. And like, I'm like, well, I messed up. So at that point, I used guns whenever I felt like it was too hard to... If there's more than like 2 guys, I just used a gun because it made it easier. But yeah, I agree that it ruined the flow of the game.
Now, I think this new sequel, I've got a lot of hope for it. Like, I don't know, I get pretty taken with some of the hype for these games at E3. But to me, Mirror's Edge, it's not that hard to make a good game out of that, because what people want is the same game with better graphics and just some tweaks. But in general, everybody loved the base mechanic, and the base mechanic was so repetitive that you can just make the same thing and everybody's going to love it. Yeah.
I think... Honestly, the best part about this announcement, though, is it is open world. There's not levels in the game. It's an open world. They said there's not even loading screens. Like, you just seamlessly transition into missions and out of missions. And, like it's like you might go into a building and you've technically started a mission, but there's no loading screen. You just enter the building and the mission takes you through the building. And then, like, when you exit, like, that's the end of the mission. And
that part kind of makes me nervous.
I saw... It wasn't quite that seamless, but I remember thinking, back when I first played Infamous, just tooling around that gigantic city, how seamless that was for as large as that was, and the fact that it was able to load from area to area as you were going from place to place. You know, so the technology is there, I guess is what I'm saying. And it can make for a really amazing gameplay experience whenever it works properly.
Yeah. I imagine there will still be cutscenes.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Yeah.
That game had so many cutscenes in it, and they were pretty essential. But, I mean, that's something that if they get it right, it's going to be awesome, but I don't know if it's necessary, you know? Like, it'll be really, really cool if they can pull it off, but if they end up screwing that part up, that's going to be so disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when's this supposed to come out?
February 23rd, 2016.
Oh, man.
So.
February 23rd,
That's pretty close.
2016.
Yeah.
That's literally
Close-ish.
8 months away and a day.
Or 7 months and 29 days away, if you're
Much more confusing.
listening to this on release. Yeah. Anyway, moving right along. So I was completely shocked at a Square Enix announcement, I guess you'd call it, which I guess was part of the Sony portion of E3, but I didn't follow the actual E3 stuff live, but I had clicked onto YouTube one morning, and there's this trailer here that says Final Fantasy VII, teaser or whatever, and I'm like, okay, what's this all about? And I click on it. As I'm watching it, it's very cool. It's all pre-rendered video, and it's got this cool, narrative going over top of it. And as I'm watching, I'm like, is this, another, like Advent Children was? Like a Final Fantasy VII based movie? Or is this a sequel type thing that they're going to do? What is this, And as it kept going on, I was like, oh my gosh, is this finally the remake everybody's been asking for? And then sure enough, right at the end of the trailer, it goes, Remake in big letters on its own screen right before the trailer cuts out.
It's like, hey, just in case you didn't catch this, it's a remake.
Yeah, we're actually doing it. I mean, people have been clamoring for Final Fantasy VII to be redone with modern, graphics and the technology that you've come to expect from Final Fantasy games these days. Even you go back to games on the PS2, which was like Final Fantasy X, and even 12. I didn't like 12, but graphically 12 looked good. Those sorts of games, they really do a better job of evoking that kind of fantasy feel that Final Fantasy is all about. And Final Fantasy VII has a great story and has really fun gameplay mechanics. It's a lot of fun to play, but visually it shows its age a lot because it was one of the first games to use any kind of 3D graphics, and all the 3D characters moving around on the overworld map are 12 polygons each.
Right.
There's not a whole lot of detail to them.
No.
And so people have been wanting this for a while, and it looks like they're actually going to make it happen. So I'm pretty excited. I may actually have to buy a PS4 now.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that not only are they redoing this game that everybody loved, so they're going to corner this whole market of people who love Final Fantasy, which is a huge market already, and all those people are going to buy it. But this was really one of the first, kind of, I don't know, I'm so confused by how Final Fantasy is numbered and everything. But you can tell me, is this a good game to get started in the franchise?
Well, there's no really getting started in the franchise. Each Final Fantasy game that has a number associated with it is its own story. Right? So Final Fantasy VII has nothing to do with the events of Final Fantasy VI,
Okay,
for instance,
I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah, the only ones that, as far as I know, that have, follow-on games is, Final Fantasy X spawned a follow-on game that they called Final Fantasy X-2. And Final Fantasy 13 also has a sequel called Final Fantasy 13-10, or 13-2.
And then they have Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns. It's a trilogy.
Right. So there's, in terms of what Final Fantasy games would I recommend people play that are what I consider to be the highlights of the series, 7 and 10 are the big ones for me.
So a 10 remake is going to be in the works whenever it gets outdated too, huh?
Well, it's funny because 10 wasn't too out of date, and they recently did 10 and 10-2 HD remaster.
Oh, well, never mind.
For the PS3. And so I think that will probably hold people over for quite a while. But 7, people have been clamoring for the remake of 7 for, oh my gosh, years upon years. I think 7 was out in the 90s, the late 90s, and people have been clamoring for a remake probably for the past 10 years at least. Because of how fast the technology has evolved.
This is interesting for me. So first of all, if it's PS4 only, I'm very likely not going to be playing it. But there
Or
are
at least not until the till the PlayStation 6 is out. then you'll have a PlayStation.
But so some of the stuff that's interesting about this is like, so a lot of people have said like from it seems like the general opinion is that this was the best Final Fantasy game. I am interested, and like I think I briefly looked into playing it like on PC, and the graphics are just like really outdated. I'm like, I don't know if I can get into that. I am curious to see this new one. I think the main issue for me is that I have the 10 and 10-2 remake, and I also have Final Fantasy 13 and 13-2. I started both of them, enjoyed both of them, but there's something about it. It's a very long game, and it's a very slow-moving game, I feel like.
Right.
And there's just something about that style. Even though I want to enjoy the game, I feel like I have so many other games to play that it's just like I don't have the time to devote to that.
Right. It is a little bit of a niche. I mean, it's a very popular niche. It's a fairly large niche, I guess. But there's definitely, you have to be a certain type of gamer to be able to enjoy a JRPG in general, and Final Fantasy in particular. Because it is a slow burn, and it's not unusual to log hundreds of hours just trying to complete the story of the game, not even considering trying to do side quests, and heaven forbid you decide to 100% it and get all the various items that are possible, and breed all the possible chocobos and all that stuff. Although that's actually worth doing in Final Fantasy VII because you get an awesome summon if you do it. But in any event,
you know what was actually the best Final Fantasy game? Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts 2. You know what they're coming out with now? Kingdom Hearts 3.
They are.
Which I saw almost nothing about.
Yeah, it went under the radar with all this Final Fantasy and Fallout stuff.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I just briefly looked up because I didn't know enough about this new, like I know it was just announced at E3, so I didn't expect to have like a release date or anything. I looked it up and I was surprised because I found a release date, but this is interesting. So, on IGN, it says that, there's an article saying, that Final Fantasy VII for the PS4 is going to come out October 16th of this year. But then it says down below, don't be confused, the recently announced remake is still several years away from release.
Several years?
That's what it says.
No.
I'm
okay with that if they're doing it right. It would be several years.
The one that's coming in October this year is apparently it's the enhanced port that is on the PC now, like that you can get on Steam, is apparently going to be available on the PS4, which I thought that was kind of weird that they were bringing it to PS4 now, with this new announcement and everything, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That gives me a bad feeling. I don't like that very much. I don't know.
It's confusing.
Yeah.
Okay, Assassin's Creed Syndicate. That's the next thing on our list. During the Ubisoft conference, they showed that off, and I saw some other some gameplay and stuff. At this point, while there are some cool new gameplay mechanics that I'm slightly interested in,
like the zip line and the grapple hook,
and the you can ride on a carriage and have a drive-by shooting thing and all that stuff. That looks really interesting. But no, at this point, I'm mainly interested in the setting and character development and everything.
It does look really cool.
The most interesting thing to me is that you're basically running a gang during the Industrial Revolution in London, and your character wears a top hat in the trailer anyway, which is awesome to me.
And I'm very interested in top hats.
It's just a completely different style. I was actually almost sad when he took the hat off and pulled up his hood. But there's going to be stuff like sword canes and things like that, and there's it just looks interesting.
Sword canes, that needs no further description.
But we all know that Assassin's Creed hasn't had the best reputation with the last couple of sequels, so we'll have to see how that goes. Meanwhile, another game that they announced at Ubisoft was, well, they announced this last year, but The Division, which is a Tom Clancy game, they showed off pretty extensively this year. It's a very interesting concept, and I'm wary of it because of like the way Watch Dogs went and everything. But it's kind of some elements of it seem kind of like Destiny. It's like an open world MMO, not quite an MMO, but it's like an open world multiplayer experience that you can play either solo or like with a squad. But there's a section, so there's like story missions and stuff, but there's a section of it that's called the Dark Zone that becomes almost more like a DayZ kind of thing, where it's like everyone's out, like only looking out for themselves, and it's like the PvP zone, and you go in there, and there are like NPCs in there that you can fight, but they're like there's powerful loot type stuff in there, and you can choose to try to take out other people. If you do take out other people and steal their loot, you get marked as a rogue agent, and then other people can kill you and take your loot at no penalty. So that's the one thing that is kind of gives you an incentive to play as the good guy. Whereas in stuff like DayZ, there really isn't a penalty for just being a jerk and murdering everyone you come across. Right. And so it's an interesting concept, and I'm curious to see where it goes. This might be a game I play, but like I said, Ubisoft has definitely had its ups and downs, so we'll see where it goes.
I'm not taking a flyer on this one, personally. Maybe it's the fact that it's taken so long to come out that they're still teasing it at E3. I'm like, really? No, thank you. But we'll see. The one that I was most anticipating, the game I was most anticipating at E3 this year was Nintendo's only real announcement, besides Mario Tennis. How could I forget? You know, they also announced the Animal Crossing terrible house decorator simulation. Anyway, that looked stupid. The new game was Star Fox Zero, which is, they called it like, they said there was supposed to be a Star Fox 2 at some point, and they were like, but we decided not to make that. But it did have all these elements that are in Star Fox Zero, so it's kind of like Star Fox 2, even though you never know what that was. But
it's like how the Xbox 3 was called the Xbox One.
Yeah. And so it's like he kept towing the line between saying it's a remake and it's just made in the same vein as Star Fox 1, but we've taken everything from Star Fox 2, but you have no idea what Star Fox 2 is. I was like,
well, you know what's crazy though is that I remember when way back, not long after Star Fox had come out, you know, within a couple of years of that, I remember seeing some stuff back in Nintendo Power Magazine when I actually had a subscription to that.
wow.
Talking about Star Fox 2 and how, you know, it had been in some early testing and stuff, and that it just didn't go the way that they wanted it to, so they ended up, you know, they didn't follow through and release it, but there are certain elements of that made it into Star Fox 64, for instance, like the tank
Right.
was a thing that was in Star Fox 2. But Star Fox 2 would have been like a Super Nintendo game had it actually been completed and released. So it's very interesting that they're coming back around and referencing it now.
Yeah.
In this day and age.
I was just so confused. The only thing I've ever played is Star Fox 64, and so it's, from the gameplay, it's pretty much a very similar game with hopefully updated graphics. The graphics that they showed on stream looked pretty not very good, so I'm assuming they're going to get better before they release. And on top of that, the control system is going to be crazy. Like, people are going to kill this control system whenever it comes out because of how complicated it is. But I think if you can get the hang of it, it's going to be pretty cool. The other thing is that what's the name of the ship? The R-Wing. R-Wing, yeah. R-Wing goes from an R-Wing to a R-Walker. I don't know.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was a Star Fox Zero thing, too. Or Star Fox 2 thing, I mean. Yeah.
So, that's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I don't really care that much for that mechanic. I'm not playing Star Fox to get in a walker. I'm playing Star Fox to fly a ship.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Just a quick mention. You said that Nintendo didn't announce anything else. I know a couple of things that came out. I didn't see their conference or whatever, but I saw some trailers. Some 3DS games. They're bringing Hyrule Warriors to 3DS, which I think is cool.
That's true.
And then apparently there's a new Metroid game coming out for 3DS, but it's not Samus. And people are upset about that.
I tuned out most of the 3DS stuff because I don't play a handheld, but...
Yeah, well, that's when I heard it. I'm like, I might want to play that. And then I was told it's not Samus. I'm like, I don't know if I want to play that. But yeah, apparently people are actually trying to get the game to be canceled or something because they're really angry.
Huh.
So,
Wow.
Yeah.
They did announce a new Zelda game also for 3DS, which
looked
kind of cool, but again, no handheld.
Yeah. So No Man's Sky was apparently shown off last year at E3. I didn't see it last year. So
Really?
this year
I
did not.
I was thinking the other one. You're right. I don't remember it last year.
I didn't see it last year. They showed it like a trailer or something. But I saw this year, and this year looked really cool. It seemed like something that a lot of the people who are into the Minecraft-y type stuff would like. It's a space exploration game. They didn't really go into story or if it really has a story. They basically said the goal of the game is to get from wherever you start to the center of the galaxy. But in the meantime, before you just go straight to the center of the galaxy, you can go to like basically any planet in this galaxy. Like, it's not like, oh, we have these selected ones you can go to. No, it's completely randomly generated.
Yeah, completely procedural. You know what? I just realized while you were speaking. This is a 3D version of Starbound. It's pretty darn close.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of elements.
But so first of all, I heard somewhere I don't understand the programming behind it. Someone said that technically procedural generation for this game is not correct. It's technically not generated procedurally. So I don't know what that means. But yeah, that's what I heard. But yeah, it just looks really cool because you can just like pop over to a planet. It'll generate and it'll be. We'll have to see like how well it's done. Like if you'll start to see like, oh, this is like they took the same plant from this world and put it on this world and maybe like change the color, or if it'll be completely unique. Which if they can pull that off, that would be insane.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be like Starbound. Take plant, change color.
Yeah.
Different
Well,
world, harder enemies.
There's also like you'll come into space above a planet and there will be like a ship battle sometimes, and other times it's completely deserted and there's no like intelligent life on the planet and things like that. So I
thought it was pretty cool. It was pretty gutsy because when he did like a fully live demo on the at the conference, he was just like, I don't know what this planet's going to be. Hopefully it doesn't suck.
Yeah. Yeah, he seemed really nervous. So
I'd be nervous too.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Slash is keeping us on a tight schedule. Battlefront, which we all knew was coming out. The new EA Battlefront.
Boo. Sorry, I was late.
Well, we'll have to see how it works out. I still don't know tons about like how it'll actually feel to play. But the stuff they showed off for it looked really cool. They had this sequence where it was on Hoth, like in a battle, but the camera kept moving like different perspectives. So it showed the rebels defending and then the Imperials attacking, but like it changed from like ground troops to like someone in the AT-AT, to someone in the snowspeeder, and then back to the ground troops, and then suddenly you hear Darth Vader breathing, and the camera turns around, and Darth Vader's just on the battlefield, and then Luke comes out and starts battling him, and it was just a really cool thing, and it said it was all, like, in-engine or whatever, so, like, that's, like, what supposedly, other than the whole camera changing bit, sort of seemed that's, like, what you can expect from it. And they had a release date, which I already forgot. I want to say it was the same month as Fallout. I think it was like November 17th or something.
So in time for Christmas, basically.
You know what the crazy
November
thing
17th. Is? Yep.
I saw that somebody saw this in between the Star Wars Battlefront and the next Star Wars movie trailers. You could see the crashed Star Destroyer thing in the background, like it's almost the exact same scene. So there could be some
interesting
overlap there. That's
Illuminati
cool.
confirmed.
Yeah.
Anyway, is it my turn?
Yes.
Yep.
Nintendo again. The other thing, so the Nintendo conference was pretty dumb, I thought. But before that, they had this thing that they called the Nintendo World Championships that they were hyping up, but they were hyping it up without giving you any information. They were just like, "Hey guys, it's the Nintendo World Championships." I was like, "Okay, I don't know."
Everybody
what that is.
went woo.
Yeah, and so what they did was they took a lot of Twitch streamers and professional gamers, and I guess this happened 25 years ago, before I was born.
Yeah, because Twitch was around then.
Well, okay, I don't know who they grabbed back then. They must have just grabbed random guys back then. But they grabbed people like Cosmo, if you know him. He's a famous speedrunner that we talked about on the podcast before. And Trihex, who has the tryhard emote on Twitch. Anyway, and they got like 15 of them and all played Nintendo games in a tournament style, actually a really cool tournament style tournament. And a
tournament style tournament.
Yeah. And it came down, so they kept playing, they played like Splatoon first, and then they moved into Metroid, the very first level of Metroid, and they played the very first level of Zelda, all kinds of classic games versus regular nowadays games and everything. And then the final was Cosmo versus some other guy, I don't know. And it was Super Mario Maker, where you get to create your own Super Mario levels. And the guys from the Nintendo Treehouse, their little kind of announcement second, I don't know. They're American employees, pretty much. Created Super Mario Maker worlds for them to play in this tournament. And it was the most ridiculous thing. Like, these guys created Koopas on top of, I don't know, thwomps or whatever it is. They're just, like, going through this Super Mario world, and you see these ridiculous things happening. But I thought that was going to be pretty dumb. It turned out to be really cool. So if you want to go waste about a couple hours, go watch that on, it's either on Twitch or YouTube.
Cool. You know, it reminds me, actually, real quick, there's a series of custom Super Mario Brothers levels that are out there that's like, I'm trying to remember what it's called, because it's not called hardcore, it's like,
where they put
basically like frustration or something.
Yeah, Super Mario Frustration. It's one of the most viewed videos on YouTube, I think.
Yeah, man, it reminds me of that. Those levels are hilarious. Yeah. Watching people play through those, because it's like jump and I'm dead.
Yeah, it was a pretty similar thing. But these professional gamer guys like Cosmo and John Numbers was the other guy's name, were really good at it. And to see them kind of figure it out as they were going through and realize that I could never even get close to that was pretty cool to watch.
Cool.
So one of the other new games that like nobody saw coming, like nobody had heard of or whatever, was I think it's PS4 exclusive. It's called Horizon Zero Dawn, and it just looks so awesome. It
did look so cool.
It seemed like one of those games that it's gonna be like, if it's a PS4 exclusive, I'm gonna be kind of sad I missed it. Just like the Shadow of Colossus for PS3, although I have PS3 now, so I can eventually play that. But it just looks really cool. It's basically a well, you guys should watch the trailer, but it's like a post-apocalyptic world where like there's like completely overgrown cities and stuff. And then you play you're like part of a tribe of, it seems kind of like they're cave people, except they use like bows and arrows that are like technologically upgraded.
Yeah, it's like post-apocalyptic indigenous. It's really strange, but like a cool idea that hasn't really been done yet, as far as I know.
The gameplay that they showed though was the character is like goes out hunting for power supplies, which there are these robotic animals, like they look like animals and stuff, but they're clearly robots. And they're just like out in a field, and they're acting like a pack of animals that might be hunted in Africa or something. And you have to like sneak up on them, and there are like different types, and you have to know how to handle the different ones or whatever. But you have to like shoot the power supplies off their back, and that's like hunting or whatever. So she's doing that, and then suddenly a giant robot T-Rex comes out of nowhere, starts shooting missiles off its back at her. And she switches to like EMP arrows and does this whole thing, and and then she actually shot one of the missile launchers off its back and picked it up and started shooting it, and it was just like, it looked so awesome.
It was just this action sequence that looked amazing. Like, I would totally recommend that YouTube video too.
And it clearly, like, it was in game. Like, it wasn't a cutscene. That was someone playing that game, and it looked amazing. And so I'm very curious to see what happens with that.
Yeah, it reminds me. I had seen an image long time ago, and I was just searching for it, and I can't find it. But it's like you will never find a picture cooler than this, and it's like a T-Rex, but it's like there's like a harness on the T-Rex shooting lasers, and there's a guy on the back that he's got like some Amazon woman like in his arms.
That sounds pretty close.
And he's like wielding a lightsaber or something. It's like it sounds like they turned that into a video game.
Maybe they did. You never know.
So the end of the Sony conference was Uncharted 4. And
so he announces this thing. He's like, and now a game that needs no introduction.
Yeah.
Just to set up the scene.
And then the screen goes black because it's clearly going to play a video or whatever. And it stays black for about 15 seconds. And for me, I do audio visual stuff at my church. I know exactly what emotions were going through that guy's head, except he was on a much bigger scale. Like, I would not be surprised if someone got fired. Because it's just like 15 seconds, the screen's just black. The guy back there, I'm sure, like I don't know if the program crashed or whatever, but like I know I've had that happen to me where like the program suddenly decides it doesn't want to respond. So you're like closing it out and trying to open it up again and get it to play, and like it's just I felt so bad. And then they showed a little cutscene, and then it got to
long enough for you to realize, okay, this is Uncharted.
Yes,
which I was pumped for. It looks really cool, by the way. But
yeah, and then it finally got to where they're actually going to show off the gameplay, and Nate just stands there. Like, they're in a crowd of people, and you're supposed to follow Sully, and Sully walks off, and Nate just stands there.
And we're just listening to the chatter of this market that he's standing in.
And then
Brazilian market or something.
Yeah. I forget what country it was in or whatever.
Maybe
but then
country.
suddenly, about like 10 seconds of just standing there or whatever, it's like they reloaded the checkpoint, and so the camera pans back down, and it shows Nate and Sully standing there.
They
and
replay
Sully
the cutscene.
Yeah, and then Nate starts following him, and it was like who knows, like if the controller was out of batteries or
That's
like
what said.
happened.
I heard that post conference is that the controller was malfunctioning. So they were going to do a live demo. Which, why would you do a live demo if there's nobody on stage with a controller in their hands?
Yeah.
So they were like, well, crap, the live demo's not going to work. So then they went to a demo they had already recorded. I was like, what's the point of that? Why didn't you just play the demo you'd already recorded in the first place?
Yeah, exactly.
But that was hilarious. I was laughing so hard when he was like, a game that needs no introduction. And then beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
It has no trailer.
But it did look really cool. They had this epic car chase through like the streets of whatever country. And, like, it seemed pretty open world. Like, even though you clearly, like, there was a place you were supposed to go, like, they didn't just stick on one road. Like, there was a truck chasing them. So every time it came and kind of, like, it was shooting at them again, rather than just take the damage, like in most video games, and it's like, oh, we're only slightly getting hit. They, like, would veer off and, like, go into, like, back alleys and stuff to try to avoid it. And it looked really cool. And they eventually, did this sequence where they're driving next to a train, and he, like, I forget if he, like, shot a grappling hook or something, but he was, like, hanging off the side of the train, and they're going on a bridge over a river, and then the screen went black, like, right before he, like, slammed into a wall, which that seemed like a theme at E3. There was a lot of, the screen went black, like, right before your character got killed, or something like that, so that was interesting, but yeah. So that was our E3 recap. There were so many more awesome things in there, but Slash said we didn't have enough time.
This episode would be 5 hours long, I think, if we covered all the E3 stuff as thoroughly as we would like to.
I think it was a success this year, though. On the whole, I was really excited about a lot of the stuff I saw. And a lot of it wasn't just like one-off titles. A lot of them were things like Uncharted 4, where you know it's going to be a great game. Or Star Fox, where you think it's probably going to be a great game, or Fallout 4.
Right.
Well, and even
there's a decent amount of nostalgia-driven stuff too, which
Final
I think Yeah, there's a good market for that a lot of times.
That's true.
So
even a lot of the new titles and new IPs looked really cool. One that we didn't get to talk about, but I think everyone should check out is For Honor. So yeah,
that one's a sequel to 3 Honor, I think.
yeah. I don't think you heard me, but I made that joke earlier about your goldfish.
My goldfish.
you said something about like I don't want to reach 4 goldfish or something. And I said, what about 3? Yeah.
Nice. So you're both equally lame. I'm glad we have that established.
Yes.
So just one more piece of gaming related news that's sort of E3 adjacent, because this news came out during E3, but I don't think it was. I don't think Google was at E3 telling people about this, so I don't know. But they are very close. I guess they're in a closed beta for gaming.youtube.com. It's their answer to Twitch, basically, where they're highlighting. It's like a subsection of YouTube, but they've redesigned it so that the gaming side of it it has a different look than the regular side of it, and like if you do a search on the gaming side for videos, it doesn't give you suggestions on titles that would not be gaming related that would normally be suggested on the regular YouTube site. But it's got a mix of both live and pre-recorded content. So when you do a search for something, the live stuff gets precedence in your searches, or like if you're on your homepage, the channels you're subscribed to, their live stuff would pop up to the top, but you could easily find their pre-recorded stuff as well. So it kind of merges the concept between YouTube, as it's usually used for pre-recorded content, and Twitch for live streaming. It kind of, this gaming YouTube site merges the two concepts together.
Yeah.
So it's not available for general use yet, but the Ars Technica articles that I read on it suggest that it's, they've got a good design behind it, and it really could start driving traffic away from Twitch if they are doing it as well as it looks like they're going to do it.
Yeah.
So we shall see.
I see the one article, it's called Google Built Itself a Twitch Killer. So
right.
Sometimes I wish I had a Twitch killer. But whenever this...
Eat a banana.
Whenever I heard about this, I thought, it's really a huge deal, because this is the first time that YouTube is actually truly acknowledging gaming as a platform for their content, right?
Yep.
This is gaming.youtube. If they just said this was livestream.youtube, that's one thing. But gaming.youtube.com, this is for gaming.
That's big. That's a big brand. Yeah.
So when I heard this, okay, bear with me here. I had a couple of questions, and I was like, I thought there's no way this is going to work, but the Ars Technica article goes through some of this stuff. So first of all, I want to know about the ad revenue, because that's really what's going to get people away from Twitch, or at least is what's going to make them think about it, because why would anybody move from Twitch if they already have a good subscriber base? Well, they don't have any subscriber models yet, so the only monetization they have right now is those stupid TrueView ads that you can skip,
right?
Which is not going to yield very well for broadcasters, streamers.
Right.
The other one, the big one, I thought, was what the heck are they going to do about copyright?
Yeah.
And I still think they addressed it, but I think it's going to be a huge deal. So what they're going to do is they're running their content ID system real time while you're streaming. And if it picks up on any of your music or anything that hits on their content ID system, you have a real-time warning, and YouTube starts yelling at you, I guess. And then if you don't listen to it within about 10 seconds, it blocks your stream until you shut down that content ID match content. Which, that sounds terrible. Like, plenty of people stream Nintendo content. How is that going to work?
Yeah, well, and I'm just thinking about, there are certain things that it's like a video game might not be copyrighted, but like I remember when I was posting Star Republic Commando that I got a copyright strike. One of the videos in the background was playing a song that was technically part of the Star Wars Episode 2 soundtrack or something. And it was like, I got a copyright strike on the music that's in the game that the game isn't getting a copyright strike on. So it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the content ID thing. But that's, I can kind of sympathize with Google a little bit on this one because YouTube is just so freaking huge.
Yeah.
For them to remain in the clear legally with a lot of these producers who also contribute content to YouTube, and help, to finance YouTube to a certain extent as well. They need to have these automated systems, which unfortunately are going to throw false positives sometimes because they need it to throw false positives more than they have false negatives.
Now,
just for CYA purposes.
The thing I find ironic about this is that they don't have a chat API currently, so they don't have a way for streamers to auto-moderate their own content. So it's like, what?
Right.
You have this entire content ID system that you've created devoted to picking out audio files, and yet you can't give any kind of chat API so people can auto-moderate their own chat? Text? It's like, okay.
I think... Yeah, I mean, this is sort of the Google model, though, so it doesn't surprise me. Like, get it out there, label it as beta for 5 years until you get all the features, implemented that people want.
Yeah.
And by then, a lot of people are already used to it, especially the more up-and-coming channels, might be more inclined, like, if they don't have really a fan base on Twitch, they might find, hey, this YouTube thing is actually more convenient because I can do everything through this one account.
That's true.
And then by the time it becomes a robust and well-oiled platform, they're already in there. They've already become entrenched and they're using it and.
Now, they did say the subscriber base won't transfer over. You have to rebuild your subscribers.
Yeah, and that makes sense because it's two different companies.
Yeah.
So. They're not going to cooperate quite that much.
And quickly, the other two questions I had were, is the stream lag going to be better than Twitch? And they said, at best, 12 to 15 seconds, which, I mean, as somebody who has streamed before and tried to talk to people who are communicating with me over chat, that Twitch was ridiculous about that. I don't know if I can handle that as a content creator, but whatever.
Right.
The other cool thing I thought was they have the ability to rewind streams mid-stream, so you don't have to go watch
they've got like
live.
a DVR, it's like DVR functionality, and I thought that was very cool. That's the sort of thing that I have found myself missing on Twitch.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're thinking of that right off the get-go with this YouTube gaming is that's smart on their part.
Hopefully they shut down chat if you're not live though, because that's going to be extremely confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But like if you're someone who doesn't really chat, and we haven't gotten into it, but like if you want to watch like URealms live or something, but you have to work, and so you get home like an hour after it started, and you don't really care about the chat, you could just start from the beginning, kind of, and then just watch through, and then you could still like because they do tweets and stuff during that they tweet out like certain aspects, which, like I said, we'll probably talk about URealms live another time. But then those would still be like only an hour old, rather than having to dig through like several day old, or several days worth of tweets. So, yeah.
Be on the lookout for it. Okay, we need.
I kind of hope just as my last comment on the DVR thing. I think it would be pretty cool if they could have the chat end up synced up with the DVR thing. So like if you're 5 minutes behind on the stream, you can see the chat content as it was coming in 5 minutes ago, and they just disable your ability to contribute.
That's a good idea.
You're obviously not
that would be cool.
Current.
Yeah,
I think that would be a very good way of implementing.
You listening, YouTube?
Yeah, listen.
Hang on.
Listen to me.
We need to sing some content ID match stuff so they can notice us.
You can make your check. You can make your check payable to for that idea.
Michael Jackson.
Well, we've got question time now.
Question.
Which, will be very quick.
One question from A Million Monkeys. Question 8.1.1. He says, "Hey guys, if you could have any dinosaur as a pet, which would you choose and why? P.S. I'm a huge fan of dinos." I don't know why that made me laugh. I've seen Jurassic World twice already. How was it?
Wow, that's kind of nuts.
And that's I was working both times, so I didn't get to go see it yet.
I've heard there's a lot of Mercedes.
Interesting.
The only thing I know out of Jurassic World is that it has spawned a huge influx of zookeepers posting pictures of themselves from, shot from behind with their arms spread out in front of, 3 or 4 animals in a pen. That's awesome. What Chris Pratt does to the raptors. There's shots of them in front of, peacocks doing
penguins.
Okay.
And penguins and stuff. So that's the only thing I know about Jurassic World, and that is all I actually need to know, because that meme is pretty funny.
That's great.
I don't know what kind of dinosaur I would have as a pet.
You haven't thought about this before?
I have not really, no. But my son used to be really into dinosaurs, and our favorite dinosaur in this house, not to have as a pet, but just because of the fact I'll mention, is the Ankylosaurus. And it's because dinosaur experts are pretty sure that the Ankylosaurus was one of the gassiest dinosaurs to ever exist. And that fact just amuses me that that's something that you would even find in a dinosaur
I really
book.
hope that's not somebody's entire job to determine that.
Well, for me, I actually I've thought about this ever since I was a kid and saw the movie Dinotopia. And they have some really cool moments where, so some of the dinosaurs in that movie actually talked, but they also had dinosaurs that they rode on and were battle companions and stuff. So some of the stuff, like riding on a pterodactyl or something like that, I don't remember what they're called, but they're kind of, it might be a Diplosaur or something. It's a shorter. It's a shorter dinosaur.
Dipsosaurus? I'm just kidding. That's an iguana.
Okay. No, not a Diplosaur. It's a 2-legged, and then it has 2 shorter arms, kind of like T-Rex, but it's much smaller, and then it has a crest on its head that goes.
Oh yeah, Ducky.
Yeah, I know the dinosaur you're talking about. I can't think of.
It's Ducky. It's a Judith Barside. Wait, nope, that's who actually voiced Ducky.
But those were in Dinotopia. Those were the scouts.
Oh, good lord!
And that was cool.
And then by her something. Anyway, wow.
Oh.
Tangent.
Wow.
And then of course I also like the Ankylosaurus because that and Stegosaurus both have cool. They're gentler animals, but then they are combat proficient.
Ducky is a Parasaurophilus. That's probably not what you're looking for.
I don't know how to spell that to search for it, but that doesn't sound right.
Spike was definitely a Stegosaurus. I would go with Petrie, who is a pterodactyl. You guys didn't watch Land Before Time, did you?
I watched it.
I did, yeah. It's been a while.
I watched it so many times. I could probably name all of those dinosaurs for you. Yeah, I would definitely be a Petrie, or I would get a Petrie, except bigger.
There's one on the cover of the book Dinotopia. If you just Google search Dinotopia, it's right there. I still don't know what it's called for the listenership to know, but you guys can know what I'm talking about.
What in the world? Yeah, I think that's a. Wait, you're not talking about the Triceratops. You're talking about the one next to it?
It's right next. Yeah.
I think that's the same thing Ducky is. I don't know, but Ducky's so small.
Well, he's a baby one.
Ducky's a girl, and yes.
It's been a long time. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through a Wikipedia list of all the dinosaurs in Dinotopia.
Pachycephalosaurus, Wyomingagenesis? That's not it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're talking about a Hydrosaurid, according to Wikipedia. I will
can't even end the podcast because we're looking at the.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So yeah, thanks for listening, everybody, and
Mongolian ostrich dinosaur.
On that note, that's it. Podcast over. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.